Hello, welcome back, my Royal Rogues. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue, and tonight we have further proof that all those claims that the Montecito duo were going to stop the attacks on the royal family were completely fake. And the first clue that we have is Harry completely breaking with royal protocol and tradition by criticizing the UK government, which is something that any citizen of a country is entitled to do. But since the ginger winger keeps using his titles as much as 3 times on a single letter, well, we assume he thinks he's still a royal, so in his case, this topic is out of bounds. Now, I've said a couple times that I don't like to go easy on Harry's responsibility over all this, but let's be serious. We all saw what happened during his statements in court. The guy doesn't have the brightness. It is just not in there. So all that attacking the UK government, which in turn did not help his case at all, has to come from Meghan, who's the one interested on stirring the media pot by any means necessary. But in this case, it goes beyond that. Because I'm absolutely sure that she wants to have some kind of impact on the royal family and not in a positive way. Of course, especially on Charles, and you might be asking why? Why him? And to answer that question, there are two interesting headlines that we should take a look at. First, and this one. King Charles is sad and bewildered and becoming increasingly frustrated by Prince Harry's behavior, source claims. As usual, let's take a look at the claims with our critical thinking hats to see whether they make sense or not. The insider said, "The king brings Harry up every time I see him. I don't think we have moved past sad and bewildered, but there's a bit more frustration at his behavior because it just keeps going." By the way, this is the kind of articles that drag for, 800 words, and the previous 2 lines is the only thing worth reading, which in turn was completely revealed in the title itself. What a joke, right? But anyway, that's why I told you to put our thinking hats and try to see things for what they really are. And in regards to King Charles, I had already mentioned in the past couple weeks that his body language is quite laid back, enjoying his first official visits as king, and at no point I've seen him remotely sad and bewildered. Just that's something that could be happening in private, but I don't know. So all this scheming sounds more like a plot to make it seem like the royal family is being affected by Harry in some way. You know how narcissists like to trigger some kind of reaction from you just to confirm that they still have some kind of power or influence. And that's when this brief summary of Harry's trial becomes relevant. Mirror Group journalists accused of hacking Princess Diana's phone to discover Michael Barrymore meeting. Court told that details of relationship with Chelsea Davy were clearly driven by unlawful activity. And my favorite one is this. 2003 article showed seeds of discord between brothers. And regarding that, I think Meghan wants to change the rift between Harry and William retroactively, as in suggesting that any discord between the brothers has also been the byproduct of whatever the British media has done so far. And that sounds like a lame attempt at saving face and being accepted again into the royal family. The narrative will keep evolving until it gets to a point where Harry would say that he never meant ill for his brother, that they were separated by circumstances and evil interests. It will not be surprising that at some point or another, Harry begins to miss the life inside the palace walls. Although if he did not have the balls to live on his own, as he himself claims that it was Meghan who saved him, then he would like them as well to come back. So Harry is in a no-win situation, and he's the only one responsible for that. By the way, Laura Poirot asked a very interesting question about Harry's alleged stay at Frogmore Cottage a few days ago. How is this possible or plausible with Eugenie, Jack, August, and newborn living there? Is this a joke, or did the royal family forget? It's entirely possible that including so many references to drugs in his pair could have been an idea from Meghan herself, and I'm about to explain why. But in the words of Cara Kennedy on her article, The Plot to Deport A prince, as entertaining as the story might be, it is not. The authorities, Harry's family, are less impressed. One source close to the family described Harry's drug tales as idiotic, adding that the family are beyond embarrassed by Harry right now for many obvious reasons, but a prince writing about his use of illegal drugs is quite extraordinary. It's idiotic, even for Harry. I remember one tweet from Meghan's mole back in March that explains it better than anyone else. Hey, dimwit Harry, if you're reading this, stop admitting your drug use. Your stupid wife is setting you up to be taken to the cleaners. When she divorces your ass, you have made it easier by constantly admitting to your problems publicly. She will probably have you deported. Kisses. Couldn't agree more. And we don't know what's taken the authorities so long since we got reports of regular citizens going through stuff like this. British tourists barred from entering the US for 10 years over cocaine tax. This was back in 2019. A British woman traveled to Los Angeles for a 2-month trip, but the pair were stopped by customs officials who suspected they were planning to overstay their visas. So while they were being interrogated, state officials searched her phone and found a text from 2 years ago that suggested she had taken the baby powder. When she admitted it, she was deported to the UK and told she was banned from visiting the US for a decade. And before you ask, yes, Harry admitted it on chapter 36 of his book, just in case some Sussex Squad crazies come to claim that it never happened. Sadly, as some of my Twitter friends are putting it, some rules do not apply for the rich and famous, or infamous in this case. But either way, Meghan's mole opinion stands that it's going to be a hell of a messy divorce. But you know how they say, with great powder comes great irresponsibility. And we have reached a point in which the line between real life and parody begins to blur and disappear. When I read this tweet from Kathy on Twitter, my first reaction is that the Harkers had gone too far in their delusion. It was only after reading it a couple times that I realized it was satire. Prince Harry today gave a statement that his court case was to help all of the poor and needy and homeless people of the world who are chased by the paparazzi. Mine and Meg's life's goal is devoted fully to the underprivileged who cannot afford to fight the paparazzi. You tell me if that doesn't sound like something Harry would say in a public speech. But something tells me that sooner or later we are going to witness things much more outrageous than this because they no longer have anything to lose. My Royal Rogues, we are really close to 130,000 by this point, so all you have to do is hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss my daily royal memes and news. The two most important words, much love and bliss.